parties are not prepared as a rule. Parties have bought into the quote unquote financial system that folks have imposed on the masses. And because of this unfortunate condition, the math is not mathing on that. So you can't expect to present something that is viable, practical, sensible to folks who have been fed misinformation, have been programmed for decades. And you cannot expect to get parties to decouple and look for viable alternatives. It's not the rule, it is the exception. So this is why we had never been in the quote unquote recruitment business. We are never in the convincing business. The information, it will be relevant in the lives of those who are ready to receive it. The information will be practical and sensible to those who are ready to apply it. That does not include the overwhelming majority of the melanated heterosexuals across this planet. Most of them, as I again always refer to them, they are the ignorant innocents. And the few prey upon their ignorance and they marginalize them continuously. So if all folks know what they were programmed with, and then you come forward and you explain to them, you do know that what they're doing to you is avoidable. You do know you have viable options and choices if you choose to engage in them. And their immediate response is going to be either indifference or to rebel against what you're saying and be offended by what you're saying. The ego will get involved, or their sense of outrage, or they'll be overwhelmed with that which makes them afraid. I've been lied to? It's what they're saying but not saying. You're saying that I am an economic slave? Those things cause folks to reel. It causes folks to recoil. It causes folks to be shocked down to their core. They'll give you the, what are you talking about? They'll give you the, why are you saying this? They would think that you are the conspiracy theory type. They won't investigate the cold hard facts. They won't look at the cold hard truth. As a rule, some do. Then there are those, and they aren't small in number, that are well aware. So can't really call them the ignorant innocents because they are well aware. And most of them do nothing because they have been beaten into submission. They accept the digital change that's coming. They accept the change they have on now by default. The thing is, what can I do? They bombed, quote unquote, Black Wall Street. They destroyed Rosewood. They've had multiple coups across the planet where our folks are. When Lumumba and others were looking to get our folks together and sorted out and financially independent, they were taken out. So basically, all these things have beaten our folks down. COINTELPRO was used repeatedly, and it beat our folks down. Or you can't do so-and-so, you can't beat their system, you can't do this, and you can't do that. Who lied to you? It's always going to be my response. Who said it was going to be a one-and-done scenario? Who said that this is going to be, you make some incremental progress and that's the end of it? No. This is ongoing and escalating. They don't see it that way because it's been beaten out of them, because they allowed it to be beaten out of them. Not the defeat part on the physical side. The hard reality is there is a thing called superior force of arms. However, they've allowed it to carry over into their spirit and into their mental. And that will take out the body or the physical every single time. Some of them, though, show them a viable way forward, and they come back. And they are ready. Train them, deploy them, and they'll act. Unfortunately, most of those in that particular pool are not like that. Most of them, as I always say, they are aware. They don't care. All they desire is access to trinkets and toys. They will sell themselves and their babies out to have and maintain access to trinkets and toys. This, again, the same trinkets and toys that they can actually design, produce, and trade independent of the colonizers and hostiles right now. Because they don't know how, they think it's not possible. Because they think that there are those who are not doing it, they think it's not probable. So they take the position of, I do nothing so I can have access to trinkets and toys. Or as Malcolm X would say, what's the matter, boss? We sick? They're in the big house. They have the illusion of inclusion. And so they figure if they don't rock the boat, they can have access to trinkets and toys. They saw the good man, Colin Kaepernick, what happened to him. And so they bowed down and they ran. This is not for everyone. They're comfortable in their captivity. And that's the choice they have made. That's the choice that many make. You can't expect for parties to come to a decision to act independent, to give back the colonizers and hostiles their trash. You can't do that. And when you have these parties who look like us, fezzed up, turbaned up, feathers, they look like us, however, they think, act, and speak like the colonizers and hostiles and their melanated puppets. And so, they play the colonizers and hostiles games. They see that we don't and take the position, oh, they're not going to last more than 5 minutes. Then they go, oh, they won't last more than a year. They won't last 5 years. Nah, they won't last a decade. 14 Earth years in, we end up on both sides of the ocean. And now we're in South Amexem, across the ocean, and now we walk as far as Cebu-Cavite district, the island chain. Multiple decades in. Doing in 25 plus Earth years what those who've been around for decades longer than us don't even have on the drawing board. This is not an attack. This is not ego. This is not about who has more toys in the sandbox. This is about strategy and tactics tied back to those who think independently, that move independently. And that would be us, the exception to that particular rule. And most folks who call themselves quote unquote leaders, we are anathema to them. When they see us coming, they want to go the other way. If we step into a room, they hope None of us ever open our mouths. What they lie about, we are the physical proof that they are lying about. We ought to do this and we ought to do that. We're already doing what they're talking about. We don't have this and we don't have that. We absolutely do have what they're talking about. And they know it. So when they see us, they run the other way. This is why your Minister for the Customs says he finds it amazing that these alleged leaders, they speak about every leader you can think of, every house of Moors and those in the quote-unquote conscious community. He watches them. He says, no, all these folks, these talking heads, they mention everybody else. They never mention us. They never mention the Amexem-Moor-Empire. I'm like, you're surprised about this. Why? Of course they're not. Because if they do, those that they're talking to are going to ask questions. Who are they? What do they do? Wait, they're doing all these things you say that we don't have? And they're doing these things that you say we don't do? They have all this? They're doing all this? So basically, you're a hustler. You're a community pirate. How come you never tell us about the Amexem-Moor-Empire sooner? So you have to understand. You have to understand. You have to fully comprehend what's going on here. These parties are tied back to that faction of folks, that pool of folks that are all talk, no action. They have no plans, no backup plans, and they have no track record of doing anything other than running their mouth. And while they run their mouths, we get the work done. It's about to go down. And parties are ill prepared. And honestly, they are kith and kindred, and I love them. However, that's a them problem. All the information that's out here nowadays, parties pretending that they don't know what to do, parties purposely misleading those who have no idea what questions to ask them. Sovereignty packages. Sovereign and citizen at the same time. Which one are you? You can't be both. Wait, time out. What's going on here? Folks, they don't know what questions. Wait, hold time out. UCC. You saying I have to quote unquote authenticate a birth certificate that I didn't create. My father and mother didn't create a so-called birth certificate. It's a state form. State is a fiction. What are you talking about? A state does not have hands, doesn't have feet, does not think independently on its own terms. It's a piece of paper, keyword being it. You break up folks' delusions. You become their enemy. Not just the colonizing hostiles, the melanated puppets that think, act, and speak like they do too.